The biological male and the biological female both have different productions of hormone balances, nervous system expectations, and processing. And so, how they process and manage stress also looks different. It has been shown in studies that women have faster, larger, and longer stress responses in comparison to men. I would personally account this to two main factors. One, women physiologically are built for nurturing, caretaking, and making sure offspring are able to live. This means emotional connection and understanding needs are more prominent in their nervous system. Though both males and females need connection and understanding of emotions, the roles and how they do this are different. 2. Men would have been in extreme danger if they were to have such intense stress responses when we lived more primitively and on the land. As we have seen biologically in our past, and even now due to genetic makeups, the male body has increased testosterone and other chemicals to allow it to optimally produce muscle mass faster, building a strong and fast body to take care of more physical work. Unlike for women who are built for the physical world, they can survive in it, but they're optimally programmed for more internal responsibilities. When emotions come in, these reactionary conclusions depend on what we are doing and why. So for a male in those conditions and environments of physical labor, to optimally function given those chemical hormones, they experience more fight-flight responses. This is directly correlated on how to survive. For men, they need quick mental responses that will determine what to do. This looks more reactionary than the female's lingering emotional state, one which is focused on the emotion, responding to it. Though they both have some opposites to them, as the female will need to act based on the conclusion she gets from understanding her emotions, the same goes to the male, as the male still needs to address what is going on and what he's feeling, aka the stress responses that are signaling. I would say all of this is leading to the necessity of men to be quick-witted and reactionary to nature. They experience stress in a way that cannot be as long-lasting, or else it would cause deadly distraction. Imagine seeing a bear in front of you. Would you rather be overtaken by stress, or would you find more benefit to have quick thinking to respond to the threat rather than your emotions, to find a way to escape and survive? Without the calmness or some level of clear-headedness, one is completely overwhelmed in the stress response, and they cannot manage. They cannot think right, they cannot come to conclusions, nor act in ways needed to survive. They make silly mistakes, and facing death, that takes lives. I would say this is the reason to why men do not have the extreme reactions, as they are built for quick situational awareness, to assess and respond based on the threat given. The threat of physical reality, something they can do or change in response. Now, the same goes for women, to assess, respond based on the threat given, but the threats look different to the psyche. The threat of physical reality is present in the female, but for them, the higher, more prominent threat is processed differently neurologically. For the female, the threat is their emotional state, the reactionary state caused by the mental perception of a physical threat. So like the male who can tunnel vision its focus on the physical side of a threat, the female can tunnel vision onto the emotional side of a threat. For the perspective of the female, she takes the time to completely immerse herself in that emotional state. To have it so heightened and prominent and lasting, I truly account this to the physiological need to understand, one in order to create resolution and safety. You see, the male tries to understand its physical surroundings and make them ideal. The female tries to understand its internal surroundings and make them ideal. Both experience the physical and internal world, though each will naturally lean one's perception to one or the other. This lean is caused by the biological programming of trying to survive, to carry out one's life and therefore lineage. Your environment, social needs, and expectations all factor to how you will live and the nervous system. Take the example of a biological woman. Her body is made to create life, to literally birth it, feed it, and raise it for the first few years of existence. It is essential that the mother understands connection, emotions, and all that comes from having a physical life, including that wherever she is in, it will be a place that will soak into her, enveloping and amplifying within her. That means she best choose a place that creates and increases safety in and around her, be it both for her own life and potential children. For with all that, the woman can then healthily keep herself and that child alive. That woman can therefore pass that knowledge along through not only direct experience and interaction, but also verbal handed down knowledge. Regardless of whether that child is female or male, they will grow up with a healthy comprehension of importance of emotions and understanding them. This is a key component to how human life is needed and how to survive. As to understand emotions, you understand you and the world around you. So choosing actions, you will then have them with intelligence and wisdom to make them from places with understanding. In the case of the female body, its nervous system is choosing based on what feels safe. As she functions not to do and create safe surroundings herself, but to choose things and people that promote and create it on its own. Unlike the male, which functions to create and provide the safe surroundings himself, this is why the need for certain characteristics are labeled as safe for women, such as strength. This will not only let them feel the emotional nervous system calm, but also it creates knowing and more safety to think that a person is able to do what is needed for the woman and children that may come. Females are built to look for what emotionally makes them safe, without having to do or create with physical effort. To simply exist, what emotional state is present then? This directly correlating to how she will act when she is pregnant. For when she is an incubator, she immerses herself and that child with everything she is in. She simply exists, so what is occurring then? This is why understanding each emotional state is so vital for the female body. She is choosing the environment that she and her offspring will live in, amplify in, grow, and be raised in. Be it just her own body, or if there is another child, whatever environment that is chosen, it is so important that it is a safe one, or else destruction and chaos of the mother and child are waiting. The woman needs to understand what and why that emotional state is occurring. Is it safety? Is it true safety, or a false presumption? Is it fear and threats, or is it blinded tosses? To identify emotional states and to see if it is true, something necessary for creating the ideal conditions and then creating and choosing those ideal conditions, as it is her choice on what she surrounds herself in, which will directly correlate to what the woman will intensify. She magnifies what she is in. This is why understanding what she thinks is a threat or a blockage and to see if it is truly a threat is so unbelievably important. So here, you can fully feel your emotions as they are extremely heightened and prolonged, this giving you time to immerse yourself and be present, to acknowledge what is there. This way, you can analyze to see if your emotional responses are accurate, and so taking the adequate necessary steps to choose safety. How is this different from the male, you may ask? Males look to understand what the problem is physically to directly fix what has been flagged as the problem. That allowing the emotional center and one's understanding to open and be incorporated more. Females look to understand what the problem is internally. So, when seeing if there's a problem at all, it can lead to either or both a perception or physical action change. This would make sense as to why the female would experience such an extreme stress reaction, as to have a longer time to spend with something makes it harder to ignore. To then include it being amplified creates the prominence to understand it better. As instead of a subtle taste you try to understand and pick out of a dish, you have the overwhelming burst of flavor you immediately can point out. I think this makes it much easier for the female sex to identify what they are feeling, in which allowing them to choose environments which will promote their safety. Also, I will say this is a contribution to why men bottle up their feelings more than females. As biologically, it would be a lot harder and rougher on the female body to hold back such intense and prolonged stress, while men may take a longer time to build to the same amount or intensity. Within that, stress responses may not feel as important or be marked with the same threat level of priority to which it does in the female body. And so, the male mind can suppress emotions a tad easier, with false assumptions of them not being as important to handle. This once again comes from the biological coding to survive, which would have the male prioritize the physical threats versus their psychological responses, which indicate those threats. The male looks to understand the physical threat to survive. Then, once handled, ideally the male is safe enough to soften into the more subtle stress responses and understand them. So I would say it makes a lot more sense that males are more susceptible to suppressing emotions and then blowing up once they reach their peak. But this is not natural, nor is it healthy. For the males, yes, stressors may not be marked with the same level of importance as some things, though that does not mean it is not as important or more important. Just as the same for the female who has to deal with those intense responses, though the emotional system may be flagging a stress response with the most importance, it may not reflect true reality. Yes, high stress is damaging to the body, but there may be something with equal to more importance that needs to be handled. And I am sure we know of the common occurrence of women being seen as more dramatic or problematic, though the role they have taken on is to feel these intense emotions and responses. But it is necessary for them to also learn with neutrality within them, that these large flags are to be dealt with, but in a healthy order. All can be solutionized. The female's intensity and depth should not be seen as a problem, just as the not-so-intense nervous system of the male should not be seen as a problem. They both have beautiful attributes which allow them to understand a perspective of the world a little more intimately and uniquely. The female's problem she will exhibit is just like the male exhibited problem: tunnel visioning. Not including other factors and only seeing one thing, all in which throws things out of balance and creates more destruction, aka threats to deal with. Just because someone does not see or understand the full picture does not mean that they are accurately seeing. They see a portion, they accurately see to their own perspective. But objectively, they are false, and more than likely creating damage because of the tunnel-visioned action or thought. With both cases, I point out, although each flag stress with different levels of importance, it does not mean we can ignore other things. Yes, a flag of importance needs to 100% be dealt with, though just like the male needing to find the correct time to deal with lower level flags, emotions, the same to the female needing the correct time to deal with lower level flags, physical action. The male cannot avoid or suppress the stress responses just because they aren't as prolonged or intense. The female cannot avoid the physical threats, which are promoting the extreme stress responses. But they both need to stress manage differently. The male needs to handle physical threats enough so that he can sit with those emotions. The female needs to handle those extreme emotions enough that she can accurately assess physical reality. Neither sex can do the other necessary factors if they are so tunnel visioned on one thing. It will act as a black hole, whatever is flagged with the most importance. So calm the nervous system by showing it that whatever the threat is, physical or mental, that it is okay, that it is safe enough to factor both into the picture. The female cannot think straight if she's enveloped in a sea of emotions, nor can the male feel into his emotions if he is hardened like a rock for fight. So yes, they have different nervous system priorities. Does this mean it will always be the case? No. Does this mean they can't be the opposite? No. But for a majority and for general understanding, this is a common nervous system coding. One we can soothe into harmony to use to our advantage. For those with a male circuitry, you can use that to your advantage. The male is blessed with physical connection to build, to physically create and do. To have the strength, mental processing, and genetics to do whatever man pleases to do. Those with this nervous system get the opportunity to make physical actions quickly, with great focus to their physical world of what they can do, change, and achieve. To manage stress as a male is to deal with your prominent threat. Using your circuitry to your advantage, you can then focus and use that intense analysis to inspect your physical world and your place in it. Your physical world is made up of what you do, therefore what you think. You will manage best by acknowledging your role and what reality is showing you. If you can identify your role in the threat, you can do what you do best. Act and change reality to become even better, more suited for the abundant life. You have the ability to examine life and physical reality like no other. This can allow you to come to solutions and conclusions of great success. By acknowledging said threat and handling accordingly, you are able to accurately and openly access your emotional states of stress. Even if it is the case of a nervous system relaxation, just that it happens from you realizing you can make the change, peace and harmony are allowed to come about. One looping you to create physically and act in the best way possible then. And for the female circuitry, you can use that to your advantage. The female is blessed with amplification, feeling deeply and intensely. Feeling and magnifying is what you are doing, and to be sensitive, you are able to intimately know every detail. Your nervous system gets the opportunity to understand emotions to the extent of complete and utter fullness. To stress manage as a female is to deal with your prominent threat. Your large and lengthy stress response has much to say. You will manage best by acknowledging what that is. Luckily for you, your circuits are primed for this, to envelop oneself in that initial wave of your flag of stress. By doing what you know, you feel into this emotional wave and let the natural occurrence of it amplifying to happen. In its intensely distinct form, you've been made to use this to your advantage. With what you do best, you feel into it. You identify the viewed threat and understand it. And so, you are conscious of its information given, clearly seeing its play and role in your life. You can also then clearly see your own and honor your role as the discerner. For you identify the threat, the uncomfortable feeling, and reason of said stress response, you naturally come to a conclusion to tidy up any loose ends, and so creating order, which was naturally done by you feeling and addressing said stress. To think clearly and analytically with accurate information you have gained only through processing your emotions. Therefore, making beautiful and abundant thoughts, then actions to your physical world. In so, looping you to experience the peace which naturally comes from having a harmonious environment. Please remember that no matter your biological sex, genetics, environment, and personal experiences, these all have to be factored in, and it does not matter what your biological sex is. There are so many ways that we will experience stress, and it is okay if you experience both sides of today's topic, female and male. It's also okay if you find yourself leaning to one or the other. Though, with this understanding of why, you can further harmonize your nervous system and better take control of your neurological pathways to greater benefit you and all that is around you. Use the pathways and circuitry which is already within you and common to your own knowledge to your advantage. Take gentle care of yourself and know you and others are all unique in how they handle stress and experience it. With that said, always approach each other and encounter anyone, including yourself, with love, be it in times of stress or in times of harmony. We always take loving time to be gentle with one another. Take care.